Things with Cyberpunk 2077 are taking a pretty interesting turn, as a brand new leak is suggesting that we could be playing Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty expansion in just about a month's time, or even only a few weeks. This isn't coming from some random 4chan post, it's a leak with an actual reputable source behind it, although even beyond that, we know some other news is coming that you may not know about with Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Red, as well as we just had some pretty bad news come out around the company. CD Red has confirmed that more Phantom Liberty news is coming in June. It seems like this is coming as a part of Summer Game Fest 2023, although there are some separate and more 4chan-esque leaks floating around claiming that Phantom Liberty would be at the Xbox Showcase, and in fact, CDPR did attend past Xbox Showcases, so that's not all that crazy. But this year already, CD Red has announced they are going to be hands-on opportunities for media at Summer Game Fest Playdays. There's going to be a smaller invite-only media event that follows the main show with Summer Game Fest. And you can even see on that main Summer Game Fest show, CDPR is listed as a partner. So though, as far as I can tell, it is yet to be officially confirmed that Phantom Liberty news will drop in June at Summer Game Fest. It seems really likely. CDPR has already confirmed they're partnering with the event overall, and they announced that more news is coming in June. It seems like June 8th is the day. That is the day of Summer Game Fest. But shortly after that, we also know that media members will have the opportunity to go hands-on with Phantom Liberty, and actually, I'm flying out to LA just to do that. So on one hand, hey, get subscribed if you want to see my hands-on impressions of Phantom Liberty, assuming I could actually post those. But this also seems like a great time to transition to today's video sponsor, Displate. Displate offers some incredibly high-quality metal posters and a marketplace with millions of designs, so you'll almost certainly be able to find something for you or even a loved one. What I imagine most of you are going to be interested in are these super high-quality Cyberpunk posters. They sent me out a few of these and they are absolutely stunning. And they have a lot of options here, whether it be Cyberpunk themed in general or even specific to edge runners. But the real star of the show as of late is the new Cyberpunk Lumino. This is a beautiful metal print that actually lights up thanks to built-in OLEDs, giving this thing a completely unique look on your wall. But you definitely don't want to wait on this one, as the Cyberpunk 2077 Lumino is only going to be available for a few more weeks. Each Lumino is unique with its own serial number, and even comes with a 20-hour lasting power bank, so you don't have to worry about wires dropping to your floor. If you use my affiliate link down below in the video description, you'll be able to get a discount on some of the traditional metal posters. You'll still have to pay full price for the Lumino, but damn, this thing's probably worth it. And with Father's Day fast approaching, Displate could be that one-stop shop for the perfect gift. So now that I can officially afford to fly over to LA, let's talk about this new Phantom Liberty leak. This originates from this YouTube channel. Honestly, I think it would be more respectful to not attempt to pronounce the name, but this channel is really almost a gaming Polish podcast. They talk about all types of games, including a ton of content on Cyberpunk 2077, but also occasionally other topics outside of that. And more specifically, the leak seems to be largely coming from Boris, one of the two hosts on the channel. A couple of days ago in a video titled Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty in June, we heard the details. Boris describes having heard a ton of excitement about Phantom Liberty from developers they know at CD Red. They describe talking to them at some of the recent events like Digital Dragons or the Poznan Game Arena, and it seems like this is largely first-hand accounts. Boris talked to CDPR developers and heard really good things about Phantom Liberty. It seems like there's quite a bit of confidence in this expansion from CDPR. But separately, and they even reported on this in the past, they described hearing how CD Red has an internal date of June for a release of Phantom Liberty. But the real big news is that Boris claims to have heard from various people who are not directly working at CDPR but know the game industry in Poland quite well that Phantom Liberty would be dropping either in June or up to a month after the announcement. With Boris claiming even further, several people he talked to confirmed they have heard this exact same information from within CDPR itself. So now on one hand, this is very much so a second-hand account. And even on the topic of an exact release date, it seems like Boris isn't totally sure. He heard a date range, not a specific date. And the podcast continues on. They talk about how a release date over the summer definitely could make a ton of sense for Phantom Liberty. There's a ton of other games coming out in Q4 of this year, like Starfield in September, even Spider-Man likely a bit after that. So the summer provides itself as a pretty nice window for Phantom Liberty, but also curiosity around whether or not CD Red could shadow drop Phantom Liberty. So right after their presentation, you could download and play the expansion, almost like what happened with Hi-Fi Rush. This seems very unlikely to me. Why bother having hands-on for the media if it's just going to be out for everyone to play anyway? But to clarify what this leak actually was, because I've actually seen quite a bit of confusion over what Boris is saying here, they basically say they heard that CDPR was targeting a release of June for Phantom Liberty, and the current goal is to have the expansion release around 1 month or less after the release date trailer goes live. So if we get a new trailer on June 8th, they expect a release date to be around 1 month after that or less. So Phantom Liberty would hypothetically drop either in June or early July. So of course, this is just some guy saying they heard something and we're just supposed to believe them. There's really not a whole lot else here. But at the same time, I'm kind of convinced, because Boris knowing something that most people don't doesn't really seem all that crazy. Right off the bat, they're based in Poland, which of course is the headquarters of CDPR, and literally just a month ago they were interviewing the quest director on Cyberpunk. They have created tons of Cyberpunk content over the years, and Boris specifically has already had one correct leak on this game, as back in 2020, Boris claimed Cyberpunk 2077 was delayed due to issues with the last gen consoles. Or really at the time, they were the current gen consoles, that with the Xbox One and PS4. This is leaked by Boris after the first delay in early 2020. Cyberpunk would end up getting delayed several more times after that. It seems like the last gen console performance were a core part of the issue. And Boris leaked this, shared it on their podcast at a time where not a lot of people were worried about last gen consoles. This was well before the actual release, almost a full year before the game actually came out. And as you start to look at this a bit deeper, I think it just makes a lot of sense. As a part of their Red 2.0 strategy update, CDPR decreed that future marketing campaigns will be much shorter, with promotional content released closer to the actual release of the given game, presenting its operation on all supported hardware platforms. And we have definitely seen this. Nearly every Cyberpunk 2077 update was shadow dropped the same day they showcased it. And in the past, CDPR CEO even praised Bethesda for their short reveal to release strategy. And even in just the past week on SteamDB, we can see CDPR has updated their EULA for Cyberpunk 2077. And just yesterday, a new hidden app was added and tied to one of those EULAs. This hidden app is very likely the store page for the Phantom Liberty DLC, although this part doesn't necessarily mean it's dropping in June, it just means that pre-orders are likely about to go live. It almost seems like this could be a plan for a marketing blitz. We get a brand new trailer with a release date during Summer Game Fest on June 8th. In the 2 days following that, media get a hands-on with Phantom Liberty and a ton of first impressions go online. And I wouldn't be shocked if each week thereafter, CDPR is teasing or sharing something about the expansion, until only a short while there, you can actually buy and play it. And one of the other pretty big clues around this all is CD Projekt Red seems to be skipping Gamescom 2023, which I think is actually a pretty big deal in all of this. Gamescom is now the biggest gaming convention in the world, and it's going to be taking place in August of this year. The fact that CD Projekt Red is skipping it basically confirms, for me at least, that Phantom Liberty is going to be released by the start of Gamescom, that with August 23rd. Because CDPR has described they want to have community hands-on for Phantom Liberty, and if they're for some reason skipping the biggest opportunity to have that in the world, I think there's a reason. I think that reason is the expansion will be already released by the time of that event. And this hypothetical could also work with the highly speculated August 20th date. August 20th is a big date in Cyberpunk lore and would be perfect for Phantom Liberty, except it's on the weekend, and in my opinion, that completely rules it out, because who wants to make their entire company work on a weekend? And what makes this even a bit more interesting is the German media outlet to report on this had it confirmed by CDPR that despite skipping Gamescom, there would be opportunities for them to play Phantom Liberty early. It seems like this is not talking about Summer Game Fest, but some other kind of hands-on opportunity for German media. And even in the original Summer Game Fest announcement tweet, CDPR said there would be future hands-on opportunities for the community. I assume this meant Gamescom, but seemingly CDPR isn't actually going to be there, so they need something else, perhaps something earlier. And with all of this in mind, we did see the global community director at CDPR respond to this leak, at least kind of. They say, as previously mentioned in our official communication, we're going to start revealing details about Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty in June. As for the launch date, we don't comment on rumors. So it's a response without actually saying anything new at all, but they definitely didn't say it wasn't true. Overall, I think I'm convinced that this leak is true, and it honestly doesn't even feel like that crazy of a prediction or a leak with the way Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red have been trending, but at the same time, I think there's definitely a big but here. year. One of the biggest issues with Cyberpunk 2077 around launch was people getting overhyped, partially due to the marketing by CDPR and partially just due to people overhyping themselves. I think it's important to remind everyone, let's not do that again. Although yeah, it would be absolutely insane to get Cyberpunk 2077 in just a month's time, or perhaps even a little bit longer than that, this still is a leak coming from one person on YouTube. I think we should definitely be tempering our expectations, and at the same time, we know we'll be playing Phantom Liberty in just a few months. The year is almost halfway over, and it's coming out in 2023 at the very least. Unfortunately though, that is not the only news to come out recently around CDPR, as they also just had some layoffs. Just recently, CDPR announced that their Witcher spin-off game being developed by the Molasses Flood needed to be reworked. This game is codenamed Project Sirius, and a couple of months ago we heard how the project had some development difficulties, and it seems like things need to be reworked internally. But just last week, it seems like they had defined a new framework, and things were back on track with the project. Although it seems like with that new framework, they may have needed a few less developers. As earlier this week, it was also announced that 29 people were let go who were a part of the project, with CDPR saying, because the project changed, so has the composition of the team that's working on it. Mainly on the Molasses Flood side, the concrete number of employees we parted way with is 21 team members in the US and 8 in Poland, working on the project outside of the US. And that's actually a pretty big layoff, not in terms of CDPR overall, they're a much larger company than just 30 employees, but last we heard, this Molasses Flood Witcher game only had 60 developers on it. So if they just laid off 29 people, that would mark half the dev team being laid off right after the project gets reworked. I have a feeling we won't be playing Project Sirius anytime soon, and even just in general, I found this news to be pretty surprising. CDPR has these massive plans to greatly expand their company and quite literally hire hundreds of additional devs to fill out their CDPR NA studio, although even despite that, they just laid off 21 people in the United States. Although with all of that in mind, there is even more information coming soon. In just a little over a week, CDPR will be publishing their Q1 earnings report, and this will likely give us some updates on all of this. So you should get subscribed, as they will have a full breakdown on whatever they say. But if you are interested in some more Cyberpunk 2077 content, check out this video, where I highlight some of the absolutely insane mods that have been coming out for the game as of late.